All right, well, we got about 6 people in the room. There's about 25 total in they're logged in via the online various tools. Give people, I don't know, like 2 more minutes after lunch, and then we'll get going. Look at that. We're using the internet to design the internet. It's great. All right, it's 2 minutes after the bottom of the hour. I think it's time to get cranking here. Hey, this is the wish session. So if you think you're supposed to be someplace else, I think we're in the right place looking at the people in the room. So if not, go join another session. Hi, I'm Sean. Niels is remote. You can see him there. Go through the nice pleasantries. Here's the note well. It's Wednesday, so hopefully you've seen this by now. Basically, if you know something, say something about IPR. Be nice to people, all the various best practices for how to run a meeting, etc. And if you have any questions about these, ask anyone in the room. I think most of the people I've seen before and are well versed in this. If you're remote, likewise. Just kind of want to highlight the code of conduct. It's not been a problem in this working group, luckily. Basically, try to treat everybody with respect. Speak slowly. Avoid the use of slang. I think they put that bullet in just for me. Make sure to dispute ideas using reasoned argument. Use best engineering judgment. Find the best solution for the whole of the internet, and contribute to the ongoing work. And make sure that this applies to both online and in person. So the next thing is the agenda. Pretty straightforward, just a couple things I gotta remind you of. Everyone here is masked up, and that's really great to see. But if you're local, make sure you're masked up unless you're at the microphone, and at the front of the room, and I don't know that anybody's actually gonna be at the front of the room other than me, so please keep your mask on. Again, remember the note well we just talked about. Please make sure to sign in via the online tool, because that's how we're gonna be managing the queue to make it fair for all the remote people to be able to get in and out. And if you do that, there's no blue sheets, as you'll notice, but we do need a note taker. And I'm looking around the room, and I'm curious who's going to be willing to take notes. We don't need blow-by-blow minute notes. We just need kind of like high-level actions. Spencer, you looked up. Do you mind?
It's also okay to look around the video.
Oh, that's true. Is anybody else willing to jump in and take minutes for us? All right, I think we're having a little bit of blipping here on the network, but Spencer, if you would do that, that would be greatly appreciated. Again, we don't need blow-by-blow minutes. I think this is going to be fairly straightforward because we're trying to resolve working group last call comments, and so we really care about like what was the resolution of the particular slide. Right, okay, great, appreciate it. And again, we really have we've got one document in this working group, it's the WIP draft, and we're going to go through the remaining items that are outstanding or that Sergio wants to talk about in version 04. That's going to be the bulk of our time. I kind of picked 30 minutes because I looked at the number of slides and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. And then we're going to kind of have a discussion of like what the way forward is. And Sergio has taken the initiative to write up a draft for things I think he wants to do going forward. So he kind of beat us to the punch, and so we kind of made semi-combined slide deck, and we kind of split it. So there's two sets of slides there. But I think we'll have the way forward discussion first, and then try to figure out what the way forward is and what we will do with the working group. So unless there's any problems, I'm going to go ahead and run the slides for you, Sergio. So go ahead and get in the mic line, and I will go on mute. Okay?
Hi, hello. So yes, as we have just said, this is the presentation is about to comment all the issues that we have or the feedback that I have received for the working group last call, and it has all been addressed in the draft. So what I want, as there was not much comments neither on the mailing list on the GitHub project. I just wanted to review all of them so we can get a consensus that it is the way forward and just not have much more discussion when when trying to do a new working group last call. So next slide, please. So yeah, so this is more or less so then regarding the feedback that I have been received and I have addressed in this new draft, it is I have rewritten the abstract and introduction because there was several comments about that. I have also added examples for the SDP offer and answer. That was one feedback I received. Added clarification and support of what happened if the media server supports only trickle ice or ice restart, but one of them, but not both. Rewarding about bundle support that it was also requested. Added a section about how to handle multiple audio and video tracks in an SDP offer from the web client. So we are like a future compatible for the upcoming version of WIP. Also small clarification on why we chose the name of iService in the rel attribute because it is a term chosen pick up from the WCC standard. And also I have we have received, or I have received a feedback from Mayana about the draft, and they saw that there was some missing registration that was required, specifically about the subspace for the extension. And so I have addressed it here. Sorry, I have not answered the email, but I have addressed the comment here. So it has been a kind of interesting week. So sorry for not have been able to answer the email, but the feedback is addressed here. So next slide, please. So this is the list of the issues that after discussing, I think that they will not be fixed, and it is okay in the draft as they are right now. The first one was I have also included the link to the issues to check the discussion. So the first one is that some protocol operation, some normative language was missing. But we have seen that, I mean, when we inherit things that are mandated from in WebRTC, we don't need to add this in normative language, and we can use just lowercase must and things like that. So if there is any particular case that you think that it is not, this is not covered by inheriting from WebRTC, please point it out. But as in general, we think that it is covered.
So on that first point, from a chair's perspective, I think that actually helps, because if you start double upping on the requirements language and one ever changes in the other spec, then you have to keep them in line. So if you're referring to something else, it's better to just leave it alone. Like if it says must in the other one, we're just going to do must here. There's no change. So I think that's a good policy.
Yeah. The second one was about why we were requiring specifically the 307 error request for performing the redirection and being able to support load balancing. And the reason is that 307 is the only redirection that ensures proper behavior with HTTP POS. So instead of having a wide range of allowing other error codes that will not be implemented by clients anyway, so and does not support HTTP posts, it is better to just use this specific error code. The third one is the discussion about if we should support basic or other, or why we were like fixing the authentication to use the bearer token. There was already a consensus about that basic should not be supported, and we have provided a way about how to use like username and password or something like that in the token of the bearer header. And anyway, if there is any new authentication method for HTTP, we will have to update WIP spec anyway. So, I mean, there is no way that we can be future proof here when we don't know how it will look like. And and the next one is the last one. It was about the terms with clients and with endpoints, because in WebRTC, endpoint it typically means one of the peer-to-peer any of the peer-to-peer endpoints, but this is consistent with the REST API when when it is the endpoints are used as the entry point for the REST API. So I think that this is consistent with the spirit of the WIP protocol, and the WIP endpoint is a REST endpoint. So I think that it is still correct to use. So anyone has any issue with not fixing this feedback?
Yeah, so to be clear, like we're not going to do this, we're moving on because we did a working group last call. So if you object and you really think one of these changes need to happen, the mic line is open. If not, we're going to move on and consider these closed. Going once, going twice. I don't see anybody in the queue. Sold.
So next one. So this is this was I have just put some of the changes that I have made to the draft that may have some impact. So we'd like to get some or consensus from the group that to approve it, because this was not in the draft that was in the working group last call. So this is some changes that I think that will need consensus in order to be approved. This one is what happens if one media server does only support trickle eyes but not iris stars, or vice versa. So I have added here a change that if any of them, if none of them is supported, then the patch must return a 405, meaning that none and the patch request is not accepted at all, neither for ice restart or trickle eyes. And if the request is from trickle eyes and you only support ice restart, or vice versa, what it is going to be returned a 501 not implemented for the requests that are not supported. So not sure if this is anyone has any feedback about this, or this is okay for everyone.
Going once. It's never going twice and three times. You can always object later, but like at this point, all right, Adam.
The sentiment here is correct. Sorry, Adam Roach. I think the sentiment here is correct. The wording, I think, needs a little bit of smithing, because the phrasing around when to send the 405 is a little bit confusing. But I think that this is technically the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so not sure if you, I mean, because it is difficult for me to just, if it would be great if you could just write a small PR so we can address it and
Sure.
the concern. So, because I mean, I can write it, but then I will have to go back to you and see if you think that it is okay. So maybe it's easier if you just can write it down.
That's great, and we'll get Spencer to note that in the draft. Adam, appreciate your input. All
Thanks.
right, we'll go to the next one unless there's anybody else. No. All right. Turnstile, always a great topic.
Yeah. So the next one is what happens, or we have included that it is possible to support or to return the ICE credential in the options when the clients that not support the setting configuration after the or changing the configuration until the local fare has been created. But what happens if the question was what happens if the web resources that not require auth, because we were requiring that the options request was an authentication in order to retrieve to provide the stun and turn credentials. And what I have removed that that it is an authenticated options to be returned the options request, because I think that it is, I mean, it is up to the implementators to decide when to if they want to support options without authentication to provide the stone credentials. But what I have added is that the note that this should not be done for flight option request for course. So this is the test that it is there. So this is the spirit. I hope that it is correct, the wording. And according to the draft for course, the option request is the one that does not have the access control request with the post value. And I'm not really sure if the last part of the phrase that the request having the access control request header should be not contain a link value. This is always the case, but I'm not sure if you can request an option that will work for both for course and for retrieving the turn credentials. At least the browser does not support it, but I don't think that we should prevent this. Oh, sorry. I'm not sure if Sin, can you put the slides in full screen, because there are people that complain that the test is too small to watch it in the room.
Let me see. Can I make it go slideshow? I will not be able to see the queue then, so that'll. Is that better? No.
Mhm.
If I do it one more,
Yeah.
and then do that, is that going to work? Oh, I think I got to go with 50. I think that's as big as I can make it.
Mhm.
Give people a couple of minutes to take a read. These slides are also up in the data tracker.
Mhm.
Again, I can't see the queue, but is there anybody that?
That
There we go. Go ahead.
Yeah, which again, sorry, I was just like looking at the PR I was going to put in here for the trickle ice and ice support language for patch. And actually, the text in here, when I went to recraft it, I think it's a little backwards.
Mhm.
The way that it reads right now, it says that you return a 501 if you support trickle ice or ice restarts, but not both. I think that's the 405 situation, because 501 means I don't know what this crazy patch method is. 405 means I know what this is, but I can't handle it.
Okay, so it's
Right.
the other way around.
Yes. Okay. I just want to make sure we weren't tangled on the X on that.
Mhm.
Does that sound right to everyone? All right. I'll go ahead
No
and
one's
put the
running.
text in.
No one's running to the microphone to object, so sounds good.
All right. Thanks.
All right, I will go to the next slide then. Nope, Jonathan's getting up.
Yeah, Jonathan Lennox, I didn't put myself in the queue, sorry. I guess the only other thing I'd say is if you support patch for any other reason, but not these, you should still treat it as, hey, I understand what patch is, but not this one, even if you don't support either trickle ice or ice restart. Maybe that's obvious.
Okay. Yeah, I think that we should add it too. So this is the next one. Yes, this is I think that there was a feedback from Krister, and he thought that it was a bad idea to go about the mass use the setup at pass and we have had a discussion in the GitHub issue, and he provided this change. So I think that he's okay with that change. So so I think that the question is how about the rest of the group? So the issue is that we want to support clients or with clients to not have to implement both at pass and or well, not to support at pass. That means that they have to be able to handle active and passive from the depending on what the servers chose. But our idea has been always from the beginning to be able to lower the barrier of implementing clients. So we are now supporting that the client may be send a set of attribute of active instead of the at pass. And we are also specifying what should be the behavior in case that the server that does not allow that.
Julius, I see you're in the queue. Feel free to come off mute. Thanks.
Hello. I'm sorry, but it was actually about the previous slide. So I'm sorry I missed the opportunity because I wanted the other discussion to finish. If you could please come back to the previous slide. So my question is supporting options in order to give the ICE server still optional? I've just lost Sergio.
Yeah, for some reason I'm having a complete what the hell moment. This one.
Sergio, if you're speaking, I cannot hear you. Am I the only one who lost Sergio?
Disappeared
I
from
can hear
the
you.
participant list. Seems to be. He appears offline right now.
Okay.
Probably some internet hiccup on his end. Maybe you go ahead, Julius, and still try to make your point. We wait for.
Okay, so my point is that so the natural thing to work with, as far as I understand the WebRTC API, the browser API, what you're doing is that you first generate an offer, you apply it to the peer connection, then you send it to the server. And by the time when you apply it to the peer connection, you need to know about your ICE servers. So in the proposed protocol, there are two things that can happen. You can either send the options first in order to get the ICE servers, in which case you do the natural thing, or else you don't do the options, in which case you need to send the offer before applying it, which means that there are two different behaviors for clients that are, the draft doesn't make any choice between the two behaviors. And so one of the two behaviors looks really bad to me in the case in which the client is on a restrictive network that only allows outgoing TCP. If you don't put any ICE servers, it is not going to work. So currently the draft allows two different behaviors for clients, one of which is going to work and one of which might work. I'm not sure what the consequences are of sending the offer too early, and the other one which will simply not work in some cases. And I'm afraid that that's going to be very difficult to debug, that we are going to have connectivity issues with some clients and not others. and I would like the draft to at least strongly recommend one of the two behaviors.
Sergio appears to be back, but I'm not sure if he has like he got. Oh,
There he is. He's back.
Yeah, sorry, that makes the connection is a bit.
Yeah, I'm going to do it again. I'll try to be quicker this time. So
No, I heard you.
options is still optional. Having the link in options is still optional. Sergio?
Yeah. This is optional. In fact, the whole student and tool support is optional.
So what happens if we have clients on restrictive networks that only allow outgoing TCP?
It will not work. I mean, but you cannot force anyone to support the student and turn. I mean, same as you can force anyone to in WebRTC to support the student and turn.
No, what I mean is that if I am the server maintainer, I do provide a turn server that I know does work for my client population, right? In this case, there is no way I can guarantee that all clients will be using it. So I'm going to have some clients working, some clients not working, and that's going to be hell to debug and hell to explain to your users. Right?
So you want to mandate? You want to mandate that the client support one of both?
I want the recommended configuration. It doesn't need to be a must, but it should be at least strongly recommended. I want the default to be that any turn servers that I provide are being used by the client.
I don't think that it is even enforceable. I mean, because the client might choose to use a different, a different one. So I don't think that we can.
The current draft doesn't give enough guidance to the client implementers. I'm assuming here that the client implementers are acting in good faith, and that if we give a strong recommendation, they will follow it. Unless they
I don't think that we have an IETF policy. So I mean, we have a lot of masks in the draft that are never implemented. So putting a mask here is not going to help. Anyway, so but anyway, what I mean is that
giving implementation guidance to implementers cannot be a bad thing. And so the use case of having the clients behind a restrictive network is something that is important in my world. Okay, in academia, most networks are extremely, especially student networks, are very restrictive. TCP is the only thing that has a good chance of working.
Yeah, I know, I get it, but I try let's try to be fast because we have only 2 minutes more for discussing. So, what will be your suggestion?
My suggestion would be to mandate that to make options on the server side support for providing turn servers on the server side a must.
And
no, because requiring
that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. So what I would like would be to make it compulsory for servers to implement providing ICE servers before the peer connection is created, before the initial offer is sent, and making it a should, that the client should use the ICE servers provided by the server.
I mean, we cannot mandate the servers to implement or to use turn because I mean it is there are a lot of servers that will not have to have a turn server. So if you want your service to support turn, I mean, it's okay for you, but we cannot mandate everyone to support or to require turn servers in order to run a web server. So we can add that the client should support some of the configuration, but we cannot mandate that the media servers always send a turn server configuration.
Okay, so if the server is providing ICE servers in the answer, then it must provide the same ICE servers in an option before. Does that formulation suit you better?
How? No, for example, I will not. I probably will not support that in my servers,
Why?
and I don't think that
Why?
because I don't want to. Because for in my case, creating the well, in fact.
So could you please outline, so I've asked it on, I think it was on GitHub or in the mailing list, I don't recall. Could you please outline what happens if the server is providing a working turn server, but the client is behind a restrictive network? Is that a case where we give up in Wish? Are we saying that the case of clients that are on restrictive networks is not something for which Wish is suitable?
No, it is suitable, and we have solution for it. That's what we cannot do is mandate to have support in the server. So,
but I control the server. I do not control the client population.
mm-hmm.
The reason Wish is interesting is that various clients are going to work. And here you are not mandating a uniform behavior across all clients. So I'm going to have my network work with some clients, but not others.
So we have Adam and Cullen in the line. I don't know if they were going to
Okay.
make a point about this.
I'm on this point, yeah.
Okay. Adam, are you on this point as well?
I am, yes. Well, it takes a long time to unmute.
Go ahead, Adam.
So the point that was raised on the list that I recall is that it may require actual acquisition of resources to provide these URLs, and under those circumstances, it isn't realistic for a server to be able to provide a response in options because it's not certain that it's going to be able to like authenticate and put this request through. It doesn't want to allocate resources for that, and I'm sympathetic to that position. I think what we probably want to do is highlight for implementers that this is an edge that might catch clients out and make them aware that if this situation appears to be occurring, they should alert the user that something's going on, at least for the purpose of making it easier to operate these networks. Because I also understand the point that Julius is raising here, where just operationally deploying these sorts of things where the clients silently fail is going to be painful.
Cullen?
I mean, I keep hearing that we can't mandate that the servers do X. I don't have an opinion on whether they should or should not do X, but I think we could mandate that. There's nothing stopping us from doing that if that was what the working group wanted to do, right? And we do that lots of other places. And anytime you have something that's like a fully compliant client can't operate with a fully compliant server and they're not going to work on a network condition that occurs broadly all over the place, that's never a great situation for me. Like, so I'm sort of sympathetic to trying to, have protocols. And obviously, if we say, you must do codec Y, it doesn't mean anyone won't just ignore that thing. But at least when that happens, you can say like, look, you're no longer implementing the spec and that's why it doesn't interoperate. So I don't know, I'm just pushing back a little bit on the saying we can't do this. I think we could do this. Whether we should do this or not, I have no idea of what the right answer is, but I think we could mandate it.
Yeah, but
Julius?
for example, yeah.
May I still? So basically, what I see right now in the current draft are 3 different client behaviors. You can either, well, 4, but one doesn't make sense. You can either do the options to get the ICE servers or not do it. And you can either do the offer before you apply it or after you apply it. And that will have different consequences and different things about ICE servers and candidates. So I see 3 different behaviors for clients, and that worries me, because they will behave differently and they will cause operational problems. I would really like it if we could at least strongly recommend one of the 3 possible behaviors. Having 3 different behaviors for clients is going to be absolute hell to debug.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say that we have added optional behaviors because they are clients that are not implementing the specs. So set configuration and set so I mean, it's something that it is supported by the spec, and so anyway, so trying to move this forward and try to find what is
Yeah.
the solution for this. I mean,
So-
I'm okay of putting that the clients should use the turn servers provided by the web server, either in the options or in the link. I'm also okay saying that the media server should provide in case they support turn server, they should provide it in both the options and in the HTTP post. What I would be against is to mandate turn support on the media server, and also to mandate or to require that the clients has to specifically use the tool service provider in order to work, because there could be cases in which the companies has a local tool server for whatever, and they want to use it because to bypass the the firewall, because you have the tool server in the DMC, and you just connect everyone to the tool server to avoid to have to open your the firewall to everyone. So I think that it is not a good idea to force to require to use the tool service provided for in order to work.
Would it be helpful if I described in detail the 3 behaviors I read in the current draft on the mailing list, so that you can decide whether you wish to mandate one specific behavior?
Mhm.
Would that be helpful, Sergio?
Yeah. Let's continue the discussion on the mailing list and try to agree on what, because we are running out of time. So let's
Sure.
try to keep so let's keep this open and finish the discussion on the mailing list.
Yeah, so just to be clear, the whole point is to get through the working group last call comments. So we'll take this time, we'll take up the future conversation. We'll just shorten that a little bit.
Yep.
So, all right, let's go to the next one. Why does this not want to work? What is my laptop doing? Stab next. Nope, it doesn't like that one. Passive setup. It finally went. Sorry. There we go.
Yeah. So so we have rewarded it to change the wording. So we recommend that the preferred option is to follow the RCC 5763 to send an add pass attribute, and only in case that the endpoint does not support setting it can just choose to send an update, but it is not a guarantee that it will work. And so, and also we have added a note about why this is a different behavior than what it is specified in the RFC, because the idea is the media server is always to support because it's a media server, so it is easier to implement both the media server and the client.
Going once. Going twice. Sold. All right, sounds good. I think this is a good way forward, actually, because you change it, then you say you should, and if you're not going to do the should, it tells you why and what happens. So that's good. All right, come on, laptop. What is going on?
The next one, so
Yeah, ice servers. There we go.
so this is about having the offer so to specify a bit more what is the expected behavior to avoid having to create a nice restart, because it is what is happening, for example, in the browsers. So the idea is that this is the way that, or I have added a note that depending on the ICE implementation, because it is not really specified when the phase should be started. It's obviously not after before so in order to prevent the restart, there may be some cases when you need to apply the local description after applying the set configuration, and not just when after getting the offer and creating and doing the post with it. So this is just a note specifying that it is what maybe is required by the implementation, so it does not change the spec in any way. And as Julius says, this is the issue that about the client behavior on restricted NAT. It's what we are going also to discuss in the mailing list to see if we can put some more text explain the scenarios, and so it will be just more informative about what could happen if in these cases, and it will not change the way that the WIP spec will work.
Going once, going twice.
And one thing that this PR was missing in the draft 07, but because I just thought that it was in, but the issue was not handled, so I have added, and it is in the main branch now.
Okay, great.
Sorry, what does the going once, going twice mean? Does it mean that we agree with the current wording? So I'd like to be
No,
clear.
that no one has any other concept that the one that we have. So it is not that to accept that, is that we will continue discussing this in the mailing list. So next slide, please.
It's the strangest thing. It will not progress. What is going on? Local problem. Me. All right.
So this is the case that specifying what will be the expected behavior if a client sends more than one audio on video track or more than one stream. So we don't have currently anything in the draft is forcing to just send one audio or video track. So, and currently we have just left the implementation a bit open about what would the server be expecting. So this is trying to address a bit more the error scenario in which the client sends something that the server is not expecting. This could happen if, for example, if you are sending multiple audio tracks and the server does not support it because it will not probably be supported by anyone. So what we have described here is that the post should be registered with a 406 not as a stable error code. This could happen not only in case that the audio that the client sends multiple audio video tracks or multiple streams, but it may happen also if, for example, the client sends a audio and video stream, but the media server is expecting an audio only. So what I have added a note that it is better to fail than just accept partially the offer and by rejecting some of the individual acceptance, because it will be much more difficult to identify for the clients, and also will be much more and I think that the proper behavior should be that the client stops and sending the stream, because I mean the user may expect that the audio and video works and only video works, and if they are sending multiple audio tracks, they would expect that all works. So just having a state that it is partial success, I don't think that it is the best thing to have in a spec. So instead of rejecting the individual exceptions that the server does not support, it is preferable to just reject the whole offer as a whole.
Adam?
Thanks. So I think this is an okay behavior at a high level. The 406 response isn't quite right. That's used for content negotiation, and it's not a semantic match for this. I'm gonna have to dig in and see what we might use that's better. 422 might work, but I'm gonna have to go and check the formal definition of that. This might end up just being a 400 if we're going to be compliant with HTTP.
Okay, so Just if you can send me what do you think that it is the best server code, because I think that it is one of the most difficult things right now is try to map the errors to the actual error codes, HTTP error codes.
Right. Yeah. That's
Mhm.
always tricky. That's why we have an entire draft about how to map
Yeah.
applications on HTTP.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I guess 2 points. One, this makes me a little nervous because this is very much not the backward compatibility model that Offer Answer uses, which means that I'm worried that some future extensions might end up being hard to deploy because we have this mismatch here. I can't think of anything concrete, but I guess my other question is I mean, not having read the entire draft in a while, does the client know how many, like, concretely, like, does the client have a way to know that the server is expecting audio only? This is a podcast ingress, not a video ingress. I mean, how does the client know what gem lines to send?
I would expect that it is something that you have it on your configuration. I mean, when you are sending to YouTube, you know that it supports audio video. If you are sending, for example, to Clubhouse, you know that it is sending to audio only. So it is something that I think that should be kind of expected to be known in at configuration time. So that's why I think that it is better to fail completely. That's to indicate that it is something that something is going wrong, that just to partially work, so the clients that not know what is going on.
All right. Yeah, I guess, I mean, maybe this would be if this turns out to be a pain point in the future, we may have to add a configuration for that, but that's probably okay. It's probably for now,
Yeah,
having it slightly configured.
I
It's
would
probably
expect that
fine.
in the future we will have to like have something mapped to the get, so the clients can actually have like have a get request to their resources, so they can have like more information about what's going on about the extension, and that support and nothing like that. So I think that this will be solving this will be part of any future extension.
All right, we'll go to the next one.
Yeah, and this is trying to solve the issue with the Ayana. It is adding a new subspace for registering new parameters or to register to create a new register in the URL subspace for protocol parameters. And this is change a bit about the format that of the extensions, and I have added the I have followed one example that I think that it was the zip or something like that, and try to copy paste everything. I think that I have missed something because I have seen something in the comments, so I will review it and ask for feedback in the email about how if what is the best, if anything is missing, if how do I need to solve it. But the idea is to add a new register, so we can when we define new extensions, we can add the extension to that register in Ayana.
All right, I think there's no discussion on that point. That was an email you actually got from Iana, right? Because they're being proactive, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
they are
excellent.
monitoring all the drafts that are being submitted to, and they saw my draft and luckily discovered that this issue.
Yeah.
So next steps, I will, well, we have one next step that it is a final or getting or solving first the error codes and some wording that Adam will provide. Also, we have to discuss the issue that Julius has pointed out about the different configuration and different behaviors of the ICE of the ICE servers. Then we will need to update the draft based on the feedback and publish it with the pending fixes. And not sure if we need to do working group last call again due to the number of changes, or if we just
Yeah, so I haven't talked with Niels. My personal opinion is that we should, because we're changing must 2119 relative language. The only thing is I'm trying to be practical is when do you think we can get the changes done and get a new draft? Because there are parts of the world that go on vacation for like August. So
Yeah, me too.
I'm not sure, yeah, like you, right? So I want to make sure that we're being reasonable, like, hey, give it to me next week, and I start a working group last call and no one's reading it. So
Yeah, I
I'm
would
thinking
love
don't
it.
kill yourself, and we'll shoot for another version sometime early September, and we shoot for another working group last call sometime in September. Does that sound good?
If we can have the discussion in the email done during this week and next week, I can provide a draft next week, so we can do a working group class call. But
Okay.
it depends on we can agree on something on the mailing list about the pending issue.
Yeah, I'll be optimistic and say we can,
Yeah.
because that's what's been going on. So that'd be great if we can get people to submit comments on the proposed changes and keep the discussion going on this. I think we can move it forward. All right, so we got about 10 minutes left. So thank you very much, Sergio. One of the big questions that we have is that this working group has a chartered item, and we are very much closing in on getting done with that item. What do we do? So the question is, we could look at extensions and look at other things, and Sergio has some ideas. He's actually got a whole slide deck and another draft. And the question is, do we do some of this working group, or do we go back to dispatch? Do we go somewhere else? What's the feeling for the working group and the appetite for getting things done? And it's kind of an open floor discussion. And if we don't have anything to say, then Sergio's got some slides. So I'm curious what people think. Adam, you're in first in line.
So my personal take on this is I think we want to go ahead and get WIP out there in the field, get some practical experience before we go down the path of trying to find other things in this space. I'm kind of agnostic about whether that means putting Wish into a dormant state or running things through dispatch again, or finding some other home. But I think that just in terms of the amount of energy that we've seen in Wish so far, we should probably go ahead and get, like I said, some experience around the protocol before we try to take another thing on in this working group. I just don't see it moving forward very quickly at the moment.
Okay. Anybody else? Sergio, do you have some opinions?
Yeah, in terms of extensions to the WIP protocol, I think that I have some in mind, but I agree that I think that we should get a bit more experience in deploying the protocol right now than to get feedback before trying to address them. So I'm not sure if we should leave a part of the web draft that I will going to present in a minute. I'm not sure if that we should wait a bit for the final WIP extension until the RFC is open and we see more implementation in the wild to see what gather new requirements for the extension before doing them.
Okay, so I'm hearing if we're going to do it, we can maybe do a working group last call, and then everybody will be okay with like just kind of going dormant, which is basically means we wouldn't meet at the next session if we get, or the next IETF meeting, if we are able to get through the working group last call documents to get this to the ISG and are able to review it. And we would meet, obviously, if we had to deal with any ISG comments. And we'll see. And that's perfectly acceptable. All right, so we do have like 6 minutes. You did have another set of slides, and so I think we're gonna let you indulge yourself in some additional slides. And so go ahead.
Yeah, please see if you can. Oops, open the next slide.
All right, so let's go to that one. All right. Why is it not sharing? Stop sharing. Do I have to reshare? Okay, yeah. Screen track closed. Sorry about that. So I should be able to go share screen, share my screen, share the other one. I'm already doing it. Do you really want to share your screen? I do want to share my screen. Now it's going to ask me what I want to do. I cannot believe I'm having. Can you guys see anything?
No.
All right.
Well, anyway, I think that given we have about 5 minutes, we will start. Web is a new draft that both Milikas and ByteDance has been working on during the last weeks. I mean, it has been really recent, but we wanted to present it here to get the feedback from the room and asking how would be the best way forward. So Chen is also here in the room. So Chen, if you want to also speak about what is your feeling and what do you think that web is important for you?
Okay. Hello.
Hi, hello.
Hi. Yeah. Yeah. This is Yunguang from from ByteDance. Actually, yeah, ByteDance has built one of the biggest RTC platform in the world. We call it ByteRTC. To improve the service quality and stability and achieve the best at user experiences, we are looking for integration with other RTC platforms, just like how we integrate the content delivery network platform. But unfortunately, there's no existing way without integrating SDK. So thanks WIP, and it resolved the ingress problem. To resolve the egress problem, the web was drafted. So thanks IETF for the chance to present and discuss it. Hope WIP and web can help the companies which are meeting the same problems as us. So Medicas and ByteDance are working on the POC now. So hopefully we can approve all the draft. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so as John Wan has already said, I mean, even if egress is outside of the scope of the WIS working group right now, I think we have reused almost all the mechanism that we have put in place for WIP. So this is what sorry, go one slide before, because if not, one slide. Okay, so the draft that we have written is basically replaced WIP for web. And that's all that was required to be done. I mean, so the first is why web, as Chen and as John Juan already said, is we think that it is a good way of having interoperability between different WebRTC service provider. So it is not as WIP, that it was like having more clients or being able to ingest media from more for a wider range of tools. This could be more used for being able to integrate different service providers in an interoperable way without having to implement custom custom protocols. This could be also used to have like common player software that could be easily integrated without having to integrate the SDK, so having to do any kind of JavaScript programming. I think that it is very important for some kind of devices, for example, like TVs, because in TVs you cannot typically, or it is when you have, like, for example, MPEG DAS or other things supported, when you can have the native player of the TV playing a video, but you cannot have that for WebRTC. And also there has already been some conversation ongoing in about how to integrate the MPEG DAS with WebRTC and be able to provide, for example, a mixed experience where you can have the user being able to switch between a live WebRTC stream and a time-shifted version of it, for example, to start watching the event from the beginning without that you can fall back to MPEG DAS for that, and so on. So I think that this would be also interesting for that. Well, the question is if we should recharge that with working group to include egress, or we should do something else. So next slide, so I can easily. So the idea is, I mean, this just replacing WIP for web, and the idea is exactly the same. So the WIP player send an HTTP post with HTTP to the endpoint. The endpoint returns the answer, and we creating the request and the response. So everything is set up, and we can delete it with an HTTP delete. So this is really similar. Next one, please. We have added a different option because there are some first there are some WebRTC implementation, especially for example Unity, that does not support doing create offer. So it's strange, but it is what it is. And also, for example, it will allow to avoid to set up an audio and video session when only audio is supported. So the idea is to, sorry, I have jumped, to send an I think that they have the graph here is wrong. The idea will be to do an empty HTTP post with an empty HTTP post. So the web endpoint returns the HTTP offer, and then the web player sends the answer in an HTTP patch. So forget about what it is in. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, unfortunately. So I guess we can take this discussion to the mailing list.
Mm-hmm.
The slides are up in the data tracker, so feel free to download them and talk with them amongst each other. I'm sorry I had to cut you off there. Thanks again for all the presentations and discussions today, but unfortunately we're out of time. So we'll see you in our next regularly scheduled program. Thanks.